Learning is not just about intelligence, it's about safety, stability, and emotional regulation. A child can be brilliant, gifted, creative, and eager to grow, but trauma can shut down the very parts of the brain responsible for learning. Childhood trauma doesn't just impact emotions, it impacts memory, focus, attention, motivation, behavior, confidence, problem solving, emotional regulation. And if untreated, these struggles follow a person into adulthood, affecting careers, relationships, self esteem, and spiritual development. We're going to break down how trauma affects learning and why healing is essential for unlocking a person's full potential. What counts as childhood trauma? Trauma isn't just big dramatic events, it's anything that overwhelms the child's emotional system. Examples include abuse, such as emotional, physical, or sexual, neglect, abandonment, exposure to violence, addiction in the home, inconsistent parenting, poverty or instability, bullying, being overly controlled or heavily criticized, a parent with mental illness, chaotic or unpredictable environments. A child doesn't have to be physically hurt to be traumatized. Any environment where they are felt or feel unsafe, unseen, or unheard affects the brain. How trauma affects the brain. Simple but life changing. Here we go. Trauma literally rewires the brain, right? The brain stays in survival mode. A traumatized child lives in fight, flight, or freeze. You know, they say fight or flight, but there is such a thing as freezing. Okay. This means that the brain prioritizes danger detection, self protection, and fear responses. A child can't focus on math or reading when their brain believes they're in danger, right? So it affects your learning ability, your creativity, your ability to plan, and your ability to critically think. Trauma disrupts memory and focus. Okay, this is also scientifically called the hippocampus of the brain. Okay, the hippocampus is responsible for learning new information, storing memories, organizing thoughts. Trauma shrinks or weakens this area, and as a result, this is why traumatized children often forget instructions, struggle with reading comprehension, getting overwhelmed easily, spacing out, and having trouble recalling information. It's not laziness, it's a neurological exhaustion. Trauma makes learning emotionally draining. School becomes difficult because concentration feels like climbing up a hill. Small tasks feel like it's overwhelming. Correction feels like rejection. Group works, if you decide to work in groups or have a reason to work in groups, this will trigger insecurity, right? A child cannot learn what they've been emotionally when they've been emotionally overloaded. It's difficult for a child who have gone through traumatic experiences to be able to process information. Okay. Trauma impacts self-esteem and confidence affects learning. Children develop beliefs like I'm stupid, I can't do this, I'm always wrong, everything is better than me, something is wrong with me, right? These are the things that they say to themselves or out loud. They give up before they try, they avoid challenges, they procrastinate out of fear. And essentially, trauma here creates a negative self narrative that becomes a mental prison. Untreated childhood trauma becomes adult struggle in many ways, okay? Adults who experience trauma as children often struggle to focus, freeze when learning something new, procrastinate often, feel mentally exhausted, overthink every mistake, fear criticism, have trouble staying motivated, avoid classrooms, careers, or skills that challenge them, and feel not smart enough or behind. They don't realize it's not a lack of intelligence, it's the residue of trauma. If you haven't already liked, share, and subscribe, go ahead and do so right now. CLG Lifestyle is a lifestyle brand influencing you to love self. We share digital products and services in the form of ebooks, blogs, podcasts, anything that will help you to become the person God created you to be. And in this episode, we're talking about the effects of childhood trauma and how it plays out into adulthood. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, again, check out clglifestyle.com and you'll be led to all the other platforms that we are present, where we are present on.